This week on The Review, we talk with filmmaker Andrei Nekrasov in search of Putin's Russia, the secrets hidden in the title sequence, plus a heated debate about Pakistan's music industry. Hello and welcome to The Review, the show that goes behind the scenes here at Al Jazeera, but also lets you do the talking. To start us off, we've been reading some very heated discussions online about the recent 101 East film, Pakistan, Music Under Siege, a documentary about attacks on secular musicians in cities and rural areas of Pakistan. We thought it only fair to highlight some of your views here. Nidat Butt said, to give a balanced view, one must showcase both sides of the coin. Yes, there have been musician casualties, but there's a lot of other work taking place across the industry which hasn't been highlighted. Haroon Sheikh wrote, I'm a musician from Pakistan and this is an extremely inaccurate depiction of the music scene here. It isn't under siege because of terrorism or extremism. In fact, it is the only industry in Pakistan that keeps on going without any support from the government. France Shipper 101 said, I'm from Pakistan and this documentary provides a very unifocal view of my country. In recent decades, the music industry has flourished in Pakistan. Check out Coke Studio for starters. We reached out to Steve Chao and the producers of 101 East with your views, and they sent us this response.
We set out in this film to document the experiences and struggles faced by musicians in Pakistan. Before we started filming, we spent a considerable amount of time not only in cities like Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad talking to artists, but also in the rural areas. And what we found, especially in these areas, is the fact that many musicians have come under pressure from religious hardliners. There's a long list of musicians that have been killed by those who believe that singing and dancing is wrong. But at the same time, we hear the criticism, and we did, in fact, spend a great deal of time in the film celebrating the music that does exist in the country. We spent time talking to those like Ali Gupir, a rapper who gets millions of hits on social media for his songs, but at the same time he has struggles monetizing his songs and also trying to make a big career out of his singing, mainly, he believes, because the government in Pakistan bans YouTube. What many musicians tell us is that the opportunities in Pakistan, while they exist, are still few and far between. But despite the security situation in Pakistan, there have been great strides made in terms of music, and we do celebrate that. We follow the young and upcoming career of Sarah Haider, a beautiful musician with a beautiful voice, and we follow that moment when she finally makes it. Where? On the premier music venue in Pakistan, Coke Studios, where she sings with who? Ali Zafar. So I believe that we do try to incorporate a wide range of experience and views in this piece. But we all have to remember as well that Pakistan is still dealing with a security situation that is only getting better. And Pakistan is a complex country, and its music scene is also very complex.
Thanks, Steve. And viewers, you can join in on a live chat next Thursday at 1400 GMT on the 101 East Facebook page to talk more with Steve about that film. This week, we have a new series premiering on the channel that travels across Russia asking what the people think of their leader, President Vladimir Putin. In Search of Putin's Russia, Kremlin Rules is a forthright look at how everyday Russians feel about Putin's foreign policy. We had a chance to Skype with the film's producer, Andrei Nekrasov, who had this to say about the man himself.
His kind of whole persona is reflecting, in a way, a typical Russian man. His pride, his macho look, sometimes being very blunt, being kind of defensive and easily hurt by criticism. All of those features are very typical for an ordinary Russian. So in that sense, he does represent the Russian people. As somebody who's trying to be more analytical, I don't think that excessive pride and that excessive patriotism is useful to our country.
We asked Andrei what's wrong with being a patriot.
I think Russia is simply too proud. Russia is too defensive. I consider myself a patriot, but you can be too patriotic. When patriotism becomes nationalism, it damages the country itself. I think excessive patriotism, our nationalism, is damaging our own country. We should be kinder to us. We shouldn't be as confrontational as we are.
A good friend of Andrei's was killed during the making of this film, a Russian opposition leader called Boris Nemtsov. We asked Andrei if he's ever been fearful of government action against him.
If you criticize Putin too much, you just, as a journalist or a documentary filmmaker, you don't get work. And that's a very powerful mechanism. It's a rather materialistic kind of culture today. It's as in love with money as anybody else in the world. So it's through money, mainly, the government controls population.
Thanks, Andrei. Well, before we go, we asked you, the viewer, to spot all the hidden clues in the title sequence of In Search of Putin's Russia. We caught up with the executive producer of the series who unveiled some of its secrets.
Well, if you look through it, I mean, you look at it as one piece, it's quite entertaining, it's well done, it's amusing. But if you look, every little bit has a significance. For example, we have as the pens, and in the pen holder are former, well, SSSR or CCCP missiles. The vodka bottle is an interesting one. It's got the Kursk, the famous submarine that sank early on in Putin's presidency, killing the entire crew. If you notice, then the next thing you see is a glass with a syringe in it. And the syringe is symbolic of the incident where a mother of one of the victims of the Kursk was drugged at a press conference for asking questions. The Ferris wheel is from the town of Pripyat, which is just outside the Chernobyl nuclear plant. At the time when the nuclear plant went off was 1986. Gorbachev, who we see in the little doll, was president. Next, Litvinenko was a spy. He was poisoned with polonium, a radioactive substance, in a cup of tea in a London restaurant. It's believed that Putin and Putin's people had him killed or poisoned. The gun, if you look closely, you see the gun. It's pointing from Russia's mainland into the Caucasus. The Caucasus being the scene of a lot of conflict between Russian forces and Islamic militants. The Sochi medal as well. Sochi is seen by many, certainly in Russia, as a highlight of Putin's achievements. There's the 12 labors of Putin that are on the background of the table. It's a gift he had received from a supporters group showing all the struggles he has to face. We've got Putin going back to the old era of, say, Lenin with a hammer and sickle, and the idea that he's bringing Russia back to something it used to be or trying to be.
Well, that's about all the time we've got for right now. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.